This video continues our discussion of the Konica Minolta based print controller functionality. You'll see in this case I am using the print driver connected to an AccurioPress 6120 black and white press. This functionality also exists in the IC605 print controllers for the color presses. We'll begin on the Image Position tab. You'll see that I've got a PDF file open and I've got it set for no image shift by default. I've got the option to say I'd like to shift the front and backs evenly. In that case, I can come to the right option and I can shift the image left to right. So if I were to say that I wanted to do a 1/2 inch shift, you'll see that my image shifts to the right by a 1/2 of an inch. I can also put a negative sign in front of that and shift towards the left. This is representative of what you would see on your image page here. So when I say that I want it to shift to the right, it will shift this to the right. If I select a negative quantity in the right shift, it will shift towards the left. I also have the ability to shift top to bottom. So if I shift the image an inch towards the bottom, you'll see that it's showing that my minus 0.5 and plus 0.1, I am shifting towards the left and shifting towards the bottom. I also have the option to shift fronts and backs separately so that I could come in and say that I would like to shift my back side by 1/4 and up a 1/2 of an inch. And what we will see now is it is showing with a lighter blue that I am shifting the back of the page, and the darker blue is indicating the shift on the front of the page. Another option I have below that is image position on the page. At this time, this is grayed out. The reason this is grayed out is that I have got a letter size document printing onto a letter size sheet, and I don't have any place to position that image other than centered on the page. If I were to come over and select that I wanted to print onto an 11 by 17 page, and I come back into my image position, you'll see that I now have the ability to shift image position. So I could shift towards the lead edge, I could shift towards the rear edge, or leave it centered on the page. I move now to the next button along the line, the Marks button. We've got a couple of different kinds of marks we can put on the page. We've got crop marks and trim marks. If we look first at the crop marks, we'll see that we've got 3 different styles of marks I can put on the page. If I put corner marks on, you will see an indication of what the corner mark is going to look like and how it is going to appear on the page. I can use the center crop mark to designate either a fold or a center cut position on the page, and I can put both marks on the page. I can put those marks only on the front of the sheets if I wanted to do that. The next item available is the type of corner marks that I can put on the page. So you'll see right now I am looking at type 1. If I choose type 2, you can see that it changes the style of the corner marks, and type 3. So whichever mark would be most appropriate or desirable for your case is what you could select. I've also then got trim margins. So I can say that I would like to change where that position is going to be. So if I wanted to have my marks a little bit different position on the page, I could move those. I can also shift where the marks are in relation to the image on the page. This does not actually shift the image on the page, it just shifts the marks as they are placed on the page. So if I needed to offset them a little bit to properly align those because my artwork is not centered on the page, I could do that. Another point to make here is that in order for these marks to appear, you actually have to be printing on a sheet larger than the artwork is in order for that to appear. If you printed a letter size sheet onto a letter size piece of paper, you could place marks using this functionality, but the marks would appear off of the edge of the page, so you would get nothing on the sheet. So you would have to do a letter size onto a larger sheet, 11 by 17, or some larger sheet than your artwork in order for those marks to appear. The next option in this marks functionality is the trim line. You'll notice if I turn the trim line on, it turns my crop marks off. And the trim line just places a box around the outside of my artwork so that I can designate where the artwork ends if I wanted to go and do a trim on that. So I can do solid lines, broken lines. I can designate the size of the box that I wanted it to print. I can also adjust and give myself a little bit of a margin around the sheet. You'll see here that I'm printing my trim marks a little bit outside of my artwork, as well as designating the thickness of the line that I am printing. The next button we will discuss is the stamp button. The stamp button allows me to put additional information on the page. The first stamp that's available is a date and time stamp. If I turn that on, I can say I would like to go on the first page of a set only or all pages of the set. I'll select first page only. The date and time, I can select what date format I would like, what time format I would like, and then I've also got option for the position that it's going to be placed on the page and the font that it's going to use. For page numbering, I can select that I would like to put page numbering on all the pages. I can say which page of the set I would like the numbering to start on, what I would like that page to be numbered, and I can also choose the style. For this instance, I'll choose page 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, and for my position, I'll select this to be lower in the middle of the page and change the font on it. I've also got an option for numbering. This is set numbering. You can place a serial number onto a document so that if you need to keep track of the different sets and where they are, where they come from, you'll be able to do that. We will say that we're going to put it on all pages and we'll just use the default numbering on those. What we see here is the result of that printout. You've got your date and time stamp in the upper left hand corner. You can see that we've got 0001 as the set numbering that we entered. And at the bottom of the sheet, you can see this is page 1 of 2. The next page is also going to have the serial numbers on there, and it says that this is sheet 2 of 2. As I move down to the next set, you'll see that my set number now goes to 0002, and it will follow on through the set. One of the things to note here is the time and date stamp that it shows in your upper left corner is the time and date of when that print job was generated out of the machine using the current time on the machine at that point. So if you send a job to the hold queue and then release that job later, you're going to have the time that it was printed, not the time that it was generated. If you leave that in the hold queue and go back later and print another set of it, you will see that the time will change on that printed document to match the time that it was printed. Once again, that's the time that is programmed into the machine and not the time that is set on your workstation. The fourth type of stamp that I can put on the page is a Copy Protect stamp. When I choose Copy Protect stamp, it let me choose a few different kinds of patterns, as well as what text I would like to be placed on that protection. In the left side of this image, we see the output using the lattice background and the Copy Protect. You can see that I've got a grayscale background image and then dots designating that this is a copy. Most copiers today operate at a high enough resolution and produce sufficient quality that it is no longer obvious that you are working with a copy document, so the functionality of this stamp is reduced from the original intent.